If you've never done this repair before, I suggest you watch this video completely. A lot of little small things you got to deal with here and there, but it's not a complicated repair. It's just time consuming, that's all. And you got to make sure you label everything. This is just the disassembly. It's not the assembly of it, but it's how to take it all apart. Now, just remember what you're doing and you can put it all back together. Otherwise, you'll end up taking this car to the dealership and saying, hey man, I got my car in a million pieces. It's not that complicated, just time consuming. I think you can do it. I've been having a leak under my 2019 BMW 330i X-Drive. This is the 2.0 turbo engine. So I'm going to show you where the leak is coming from, at least where I see and how I got to it. To get started, I got me my little trusty bungee cord, my light here. Now let me go up under here and show you how I found this leak, because it was leaking up under the car. So your top hose is sitting right there. Let me kind of pull this light over here so you can see. All right, so that's your top radiator hose going there. It's just sitting inside of a clamp. So what you can do is just pop it out of that little clamp and push it down a little lower. That's it, just push it down a little bit. You don't gotta push it that far. So it's gonna look like that once you push it down. It's just out of the hose. But you got an oil cooler way back there in the back. You probably can't see it. Like here's your oil cooler is that thing right there. That's your oil filter housing, and your oil cooler's right up under it. Looks like that. But if you can get the light positioned to look right on top of it, like I could see it, but because the way the camera angle works, you can't. But right on top of that, there's a ton, like I aimed the light pretty different. You can't see it, but there's a ton of like coolant on top of it. So that lets me know that the heat management module that sits right at the top is the thermostat. That's most likely the issue that's leaking. Because if it was leaking from the bottom of the oil cooler housing, it would actually be just on the bottom side leaking up under it. So the fact that it's on the top, I'm gonna have to get back there, and I'm not gonna take off that intake plenum. This is your big intake plenum to your turbo right here. I'm not gonna take that off. I'll take this cover off. You can just pop that off if you want to. Like I said, hold up for a second. There's just like little rubber grommets. You can pop that up and off. Scoot that over to the side a little bit. Don't let it touch the side of your car and scratch your car up. But we're gonna leave this on. This is your big intake plenum right here. We're not taking that off. We're gonna instead go for the ECU and try to drop down and come around in like that. And that way I can get a better visual of where that leak is coming from, at least to know what parts I probably need to start ordering, because I'm not ordering a part yet. I've looked at a lot of things online, and these cars have so many different like versions of a certain part. So I wanna see my parts first before I start ordering everything. Okay, to get started, there's a little 10mm bolt here. I'm gonna pop that off and see if I can get this cover and everything to kind of move over a little bit. Okay, so once you pop that 10mm off, the cover you just shimmy it, move this out the way, move this little hose out the way there, and you can shimmy it, sit it back on your table over here. I got my little roller table, but there it is sitting right there. And now you got all of these you're gonna have to pull off. These are all plugging into your ECU. So what you want to do is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like dots on mine. I'm going to put 1 dot on here. I'm going to put 2 here, 3 here, 4 dots, 5 dots, 6 dots, because I want to keep these in order. You don't want to mix these up. So you can either put dots on the actual piece itself or put dots on your lines, on your wiring or whatever. I'm probably going to put dots on here. So let me go get my little marker pen. I'm going to mark all of these first before I take these out the way. Okay, so I got my little Sharpie. This is my little white wall Sharpie right here. So I got this, and on each of these ribs right here, as you can see, let me lock this in there. Like on the first little rib on this little thing, I put a dot. So that's for number 1. That's slot 1. On the second rib, I'll put a slot for number 2. The third rib for slot 3. The fourth rib for slot 4. The fifth slot, I did the 2 centers. The 6th slot, I did the 2 outsides. So that'll help me remember. But not only that'll help me remember, but this video should help remember where it is. If I forget where they are, I'm saying, hey, which ones went which way? But like I said, first rib has one on the very first one, has it on the first slot. Second, third, fourth. Fifth is center, 6th outside. Should be good. I guess I better tell you how they actually come off. Press this piece down right here. When you press this little piece down, this can slide forward like this. Press that little piece down, that slides forward, push it down, pop straight up and out. That's your first one out. Copy the rest down like that. Like I said, it's easy to do. This little tab in the center right here, press that down, pull this forward, pull it all the way down. It'll slip it straight up and out. You can just pull it straight out. Now that you have them all out, it should look like this. That's it. So like I said, you'll see that, and there's your ECU right here. So now let's work on getting that thing out. Okay, anything that's restricting movement, you're going to pull out. So this little first adapter here, I think I'm going to take that one off for sure. Might take this piece off here. This is just a slide clamp down on there. You can get this piece off too, because I just want to free up this ECU just to get it out of the way. I don't want to do too much intrusion, just enough to get this thing cleared out. Okay, to get this little wiring harness piece here off, at the base of it, right up under here, there's a small tab. Push that tab towards the body of the ECU, and it should pop straight up and out like that. So that part's out. Okay, now this wiring harness, the loom is trapped in by this little piece right here. So you got to get like a small flathead, kind of pop this silver piece up right up under here, squeeze that tab in, pull that up and out, and this little wire should come out there. On the piece I was just talking about, this is it here. And that's the small tab. You got to push this little plastic tab up gently. Don't push it too hard. It'll snap. Gently push that piece up. Then you should be able to squeeze down a little bit, barely, and pull it straight up and out. It should come out that little hole right there. Okay, now your second set of wiring harnesses you've got to deal with are these right up under there. So you've got 1, 2, like I said, and they're all up under here. 1, 2, 3, 4, probably about 5 of them right up under there. What you want to do is the same thing you did to these, how you mark these to remember them. Mark those in some way that you can remember which one was in the front, which one was second, which one was third, sort of like that all the way back. Make sure you're marking them according to your own. Like I said, I might do it a different way. Don't know. I might put dots on the front as I'm going back, then put one in the second position, then put one in the third position, so I remember where they were located in this harness when I'm putting it back together again. But before I mark those, I'm going to show you there's a second 10mm right up under there. I think I'm going to take that out just so I can get a little play and move this up some, because you've got the same clip types. Like how this is, you got them down in there as well. So I'm going to make sure I can get something down there to... Oh, those are just push tabs. Okay. Those are not those type of clips. Those are just push tabs. So you just kind of go down, you just kind of push them in like this, and they should come straight up and out. So you just kind of squeeze, lift. So I'm not going to pull them all out. I want to get my marking down. But before I do that, I want to kind of get that 10mm out, scoop this up some so I can start my markings. Okay, I got my first 3 marked. As you can see on the first one, I've got just the tab marked at the top in white. So you can see it like this. So the tab's in white. The second one, I got the side and the tab in white. So it'll go side, then tab. That's number 2. On the third, I got side, side, side. So I got 3 markings on the third one. So on the first one only has 1 marking, which is the tab itself. The second one has a tab in the side. Number 2. Third has 1, 2, 3 markings. So that lets me know. Plus this video will let me know too. Okay, so I got those 3 out back there. There you go. They're all out. But there's a piece here on the front. That piece right there. That clip. And that clip right there. Whoops, too bright. That clip there. You need to pop those off because we've got to get this entire wire right here off of this loom. And these are just snap down clips. What they do is you push them down and they just crimp around the edge. So you can get these off like with a pair of flatheads, just barely. Don't bend them too hard because they'll snap off. But you barely pop them up and out and they should just pop up. Because I've taken these off before off of different cars. Like I said, they just kind of press in place. They're like compression. They press down and they snap in place. So you got to kind of free up the sides a little bit just to slide them off some. So I'm going to show you what the inside of one of those clips look like. See that? There's like real small, like alligator teeth, almost like shark teeth that's biting into that plastic right there. So what I did is I got a real super thin screwdriver, slid it down each side to kind of bend those tabs back a little bit. And as I was bending those tabs back, I was gently pulling. Don't push too hard because you might snap this. But you got to get those little alligator teeth off so they back off of that piece there. Like I said, I just worked each side a little bit, kind of slowly, and it was slowly working itself off, popped it straight off. So that's what's holding it on there. It's a little small alligator. Now what I'll do to put it back on is I'll bend those back in place and then put them back on when I'm ready. Okay, now the second one didn't come off as easy. Because see, here's the piece here, but the alligator stayed on there. But the thing is this piece looks like it just snaps right onto there. So I could probably just shove it back down and snap that alligator piece on there just fine. So I'll probably slide this other one out. Now I'll leave it in there. But I know these are 2 pieces though. Now I know these are that piece there and this. they can actually come apart. So what I did is I just wiggled this one hard one way and the other way, snapped it straight up and out. So now this piece of the loom is out of the way. And now I can get this adapter off, free up this ECU from being connected over here to the sidewall, start working my way down that way. Okay, I'm still working on getting this one off right here. There's a tab at the top. There's a tab just like it at the bottom through a hole, so you can get your finger through that hole at the bottom. You squeeze them, you start wiggling this, and this should come straight off. Like right now, it's kind of jammed a little bit, but I got both the tabs to press. I heard both of them snap. I just got to pull them off. Also, don't forget, this loom here has to come off as well. And on the side of it, as you can see over here, let me see, on the side, there's a real small indention right there. Push that indention in. Like I said, it's all, you see that little indention on it right there? You push that in, and you should be able to slide that up and out. That little tab right there. You got to get it past that little indention, slide it up and out, and that'll free that part up right there. And I mean, don't push hard on none of this stuff. This plastic will break. Now, I got that piece off easy because what I did is I got my super thin screwdriver here, and I just, you know, you could see part of the, like this little piece that's on the harness right here, that little piece on the harness, I barely pulled it forward. As I was pulling it forward, I just pulled the harness up, and it just came straight out real easy. You don't have to bend these things too hard. Like I said, they'll move easily, so don't add a lot of pressure, or else you'll snap this plastic off. Okay, getting this piece off here is like this. Like, it'll be connected. Once you free these two tabs up, this is the piece you're pulling off. This wire here, this doesn't move. That stays static right there. So I was trying to pull this back, that doesn't pull back. But as I was pulling it, I kind of realized this was moving, so I decided just to pull that a little bit. Sure enough, slid right off real easy. That's super easy. Like I said, you can see the hole where your finger goes through right down there in the bottom. So that's super easy. You just put your fingers up under here to here, snap it, and just start working this back. This stays attached. So got that part out the way. All right, let's start working towards here. We still got these couple of pieces back here, but I flipped my all my harnesses, my ECU harness backwards, and I got the cover holding it down so it don't flip back over on me. So I got all this stuff being held over here for right now. So I need to start working my way back this way, seeing what all I got to remove so I can get this ECU out the way and see right down where that leak is coming from. So what I got left now is this little piece there. Man, I hate that light that's in the way. All right, that little piece there, it's way too bright. Okay, that there, and the one right behind it, but also this right here has been held by one of those alligator clips like this. So it's been held in place by one of those. So once you get those three off, you should be able to free up what's holding it down back there and get that ECU out. Hopefully, let's see. Okay, we do have to take this harness off right here. This harness that's sitting right there, we got to take that off. Now, if you look in the back, you'll see these grooves back there. Let me see if I can get this right. Okay, you see those grooves back there. Now, this piece slides forward toward the engine. But what you've got to do is to get this off, you've got to kind of angle it toward the engine and down. So as you're angling, as you're kind of pushing it toward the engine and down, kind of like this, you're going to push it toward the engine and down a little bit. There's 3 separate clamps in there, and you can see them. There's one at the very top, one dead center, one at the very bottom. But as you're pushing forward and down, you're going to kind of push that clamp down a little bit, kind of like this. Like, you'll get your little thin screwdriver right inside of here. And so as you're pushing it down, the first one you're going to kind of barely push down a little bit, and it's going to work itself past a groove. That one's done. Then you go down to this one, push that one down. It's going to work itself past a groove. That one's done. The last one is from the bottom up. It's going to work itself past the groove. This thing will slide straight off. Let me see if I can do it while I hold this phone in my hand. This is going to be kind of tricky. Hold up. Hey, it works. All right, so I'm going to push this down, forward. Come on, damn it. Now I done hit this. All right, push it down, forward. Push that down, forward. All right, I felt that one pop. This one's going through. All right, the last one from the bottom. Whoops, snap back up. Okay, so that one's down. I felt that one go. That one. There we go, right there. Now it slides off. See, there you go, right there. Easy. Not quite. Okay, so I got everything out. I'm going to try to unhook it without unhooking that thing, because that's got like a big red button on the back of it. You got to kind of get that pulled up, then pop that out. I'm not even going to touch that because I don't think I have to. I think I can work it out. But back here, you've got a couple of harnesses you've got to unsnap on the back end that's holding this wire and loom right here on there. So once we get that free, there's, like I said, there's a little adapter at the top. You just snap it apart. It's sitting right there. That piece right there. Let me see if I can get a light back there. Yeah, that little piece right there, you snap that apart, and then you should be able to free it up and get that ECU at least flip up and out of the way. I don't want to take it completely out of the car. I'm going to just flip it and sit it right up there. Okay, getting that thing up was too easy. Jesus Christ. All right, so it was sitting down in there like this, and that's how it looks like that. I thought you had to mess with this clip. No, I saw these two tabs on the end. So what I did is I saw these two little tabs right there. I was like, oh, so I just pulled one and one, and it just slid straight up and out. Like, hey, that was pretty easy. So you don't have to mess with this piece here. You got two small tabs there and there. Pop those up, slide straight up and out. Now it's wide open, and you can kind of see back there a little bit. So let me see if I can. Oh yeah, I think it's kind of free. So it's probably free. I'm gonna get all these wiring harnesses and looms and stuff out of the way. Let me shine a light down in there. Yep, there's another one down there. If I can get that bracket off, I think it's the same exact type of bracket. Pull that one off down there, and I should be able to free up this ECU. I mean, it's straight down there. You can see it right there. I'll free it up, hopefully. Okay, to get that final piece of that loom off was pretty easy. You see that tab right there? That tab, whoops, let me do like this real quick. Let me do like this. Because what it is, that little tray can slide back and forth, but there's a little tab right here. If you pull this tab like towards the engine, it'll pop straight up, and those last two wires come across in one general assembly. So that should free this up, and I kind of took the wires out of here just to kind of move that around. So that frees that up now. So I can flip the whole piece up this way. All right, now my ECU is out of the way now. But yeah, that's that piece I was telling you about right here, that little tray piece. Let me scoot this over some so you can see better. There, let me see if I can. Yeah, so that little tray piece right here, this is where those last two wires was on right here. So it just kind of sits down in that little, it slides down in there. But if you pull this little tab right here, if you pull this tab this way, right in the center, there's a tab, pull it toward the engine, it'll slide this whole piece up, and it's no longer sitting attached to the ECU. So now I can look down in here and see, let me move this hose out the way, where my leak is coming from. So as I can, let me hold this down in here. So yeah, let me see if I can get over there. We'll see. Really, I can't really see too well. Let me see if I can turn on the flash. Hold up for a second. So I got my drain buckets up under there. So I got my big metal pan and my two buckets. I'm about to come up here. First thing I want to do is I'm going to take off this top hose right here. Free that. I mean, there's little clips on there holding them in place so they're easy to like get on and off. Then I'm gonna take the big one off, and it's gonna drain everything else, because I want to see back there, because I want to actually see that that heat management module, see exactly where is it leak. It's leaking anyways. I'm gonna replace it. I just want to make sure that that's exactly what it is. Pretty sure it is. I've been having problems getting full heat all the time. It'll be blowing nice and hot, and all of a sudden it'll get cold. So the thermostat stays stuck open on BMW, so don't run the engine hot, but that means you don't get good heat management inside of the cabin either. So that was my first sign. Well, my first sign was really, I saw a big spot in the driveway a couple of weeks ago. And so I've been, troubleshooting. I finally came down to it, but there it is, man. Let's see, if you can look down in there, you can see all that nasty gunk all down in there. I mean, it's all soaking wet down in there. So it's leaking pretty good. It's leaking pretty good down there. Yep, look at that. It's all gunk all down in there. Man, here we go. Okay, I got the bottom hose off so far, and I got it linked up, and I got it sitting up here. A little top hose, I got the clip off, but it won't come off. So I'm going to leave it on for right now. I'm not going to mess with that right now. As you can see, it is pretty hideous down there. Let me drop down in here. It's pretty hideous down in there. It's a lot of junk in there, a lot of gunk. So I think what and that's the part right there I'm going to have to replace this right here. That's where it's leaking from. I'm just trying to figure out how to get that thing off. I can see two of the bolts, but I think it has 4 in it. I'm gonna go look at the part inside to make sure it's got 4 bolts on it. I'm gonna see if I can get that piece off without taking my oil cooler off, because that's the last thing I wanna do is take that thing off. Jeez. I mean, if I have to replace it, I will, but I don't think I have to. All right, I hosed everything out down there, washed out all the gunk and everything. And after close consideration, I will have to take the plenum off. I think the intake plenum is going to have to come off, because there's some top bolts across the top. I think there's 3 bolts across the top that I can't get to. Even if I take the oil cooler off, because they're across the top of the piece back there, not across the bottom that I'm worried about. The bottom ones I think I can get to. It's the ones at the top. And with this plenum in the way, yeah, there's no way. So, like I said, I'm glad I did what I did today to get this out the way. I actually identified the leak. I saw exactly where everything was sitting. It's right on top there. It wasn't the water pump. It was actually, like I said, the heating element in there. I'm gonna pull this plenum off. There might be videos of it pulling off, but I'll do a video here just in case. I'll still do a video, and it's gonna be, you know, a little process, so be ready. And I know a lot of people might be saying, well, just figure out a shortcut, man. Just do a shortcut. You don't have to just do it. This is my car. I want to own this for a long time. There are no shortcuts when you care about the shit you driving. So let's take care of this car the right way. Ain't no shortcuts to it. We got to do the work. Okay, so one of the first things I did was I got my ECU out the way, put it back on this side so I can get a good look at what's on the plenum. Now, as you can see, we got these tabs here. Remember, we did this on the other side. We got these little pieces inside of here that you just pull, you push that way, and it should just pop straight up. Like you can do this side first, just do that, pop it up. This side, pop it up. And there you should go right there. Let me see, hold up. Come on, thing. I hate when I gotta use two hands for something. There. Yeah, so you just push those, like I said, these little tabs in there, you push them forward, it pops it straight up. What I'm doing right now is I'm gonna free up everything from the intake plenum like that. I mean, we got small air holes, things like this. We got another one of those little harness clips down here. We gotta push the tabs, you know, out the way and then pull it straight up. That way you don't have to take off all of these lines. That's what these are for. Pull these tabs forward, push that straight up. We should free these things up. We're just trying to free up the plenum right now. I just want to free up the plenum to see what else I got. I know I got bolts down in here. So, you know, once we free up the plenum and everything, you can see these little silver bolts down in there. That's what we're going to aim for. We got about 5 or 6 of those along the back end. Plus we got one sitting over here on this side holding the plenum, like floating right there. But that's what we want to work at. Then we'll work out getting the charge pipe off here. So we'll end up getting this whole intake off. But I think we're going to start with that little bolt right there. Start with that small bolt. And then work our way to see exactly how far down I got to go. I don't want to take this off. All I want to do is take off from probably about here where that little elbow is, back, and just free it. Once I free it and get it situated up, I can get my hands in there to get to that pump. I don't want to take this thing completely off and sit on the ground if I don't have to. I just want to get enough in there so I can get my hands in there, get that heat element out there where I can see which one I got, order it, and be ready to put it back together. All right, so the first thing I did is I got my little small swivel, my 8mm, and I freed up that, and I freed up that one back here, right past the oil filter housing. So those two are free right now. Those are just 8mm, and I already got everything off the top. I'm gonna start working on getting this off and probably start looking at unlinking a few things. I'll worry about the back later. I wanna get everything off the front that I can get off the front, because I don't want to kink or bend any hose, so I'm getting everything off while I can. And you got to get this off too. So all of these things have to come off. Everything has to come off, especially anything that could bend. This might not have to. It's kind of flexible. It's just a wiring harness. It's kind of flexible. I may not take this one off, but definitely anything that's air related, you don't want to kink it because you might snap it. So get all air related hoses off. Okay, I'm gonna pop this off with a pair of pliers. Damn, somebody's flying through here. And I'm gonna get all these hoses off here. You can just pop this straight up and out like this. This will just pop straight up. Hold up, pull it back, put your back with your finger like this, pull that straight up, it's ready to go. And then right here is where it actually secures, so you can get it out down here. Looks like probably a T10, 12, I'll figure it out. But you just free that. We're gonna take this off here, get that out the way. And like I said, I'm gonna get a pair of pliers, get that off the way, and just kind of free up everything that's right around the edge. That way I can start working on my bolts back here, because like I said, I got those two loose. I want to get all the hoses out the way. Anything that's air related, take off. Do not bend it. Okay, that was another coolant line right there. So that coolant line is for your turbo, keep it cool and everything like that. And it wraps all the way down and around. So, you know, just free that, get that out the way. It'll leak a little bit. You can put a rack up under it if you want to. I'm gonna start working on these other parts. Okay, that little one in the front right here, like this is on the front of the engine, that was a T20. That sits on the front. That little thing right there is a T20. Okay, as you're freeing everything up, like I said, I freed up, you know, this piece here is just like a little pull thing. You just pull that straight up. So let me show you what I'm talking about right here. Is at your T, you pull that straight up, this little piece here, you just, you know, then back here in the very back, you've got something sitting in the harness right there. You've got that big assembly sitting right in that harness. So you got to pop that up and out of the rail back there. I've already loosened up 4 of the 5 or 5 of the bolts at the top, 4 to 5, whatever. And let me see, I think I'm about ready to start working. I'm gonna go back here. Like I said, I gotta pull this piece up back here. Just get that out of the harness. So that's sitting out of the harness now. So I can pull that out of the way. Because that's all I want to do is sit this up and out of the way. Like I said, be careful. These are air hoses and everything. Be very careful. Like I said, I'm being very gentle with it, so I don't kink anything, bend anything. Don't force it. If something doesn't feel like it's right, do not force it. Because if you get air, because the ECU can't register anything if you got a leak anywhere in the system. Be super careful with these lines. You don't have to go that far. They're easy to move and kind of maneuver around, so don't think you got to snap something just to get it out the way. So that gets me to my last bolt back there on top of my plenum. So I should be able to start working on getting this thing off. I also got to get this piece off in the front here, because this right here is attached to my plenum, and I don't want to kink this air hose. So I'm going to get this off before I even try to move it. Okay, and to get this hose off in the front right here, this one, you've got to kind of push it in toward the plenum, and you got to press the tops in the bottom, because there's 2 small little hinges on the side. And once those hinges clear the lip of this, you can kind of scoot it back some. You don't want to force it. Like I said, you want to push those down, get them to release the sides here, pull it out gently, should be good to go. Okay, what I did to free it is, hold up for a second. I got my, you know, my little small screwdriver. Where am I at? Oh, right here. Okay, I got my small screwdriver and I stuck it back. I was pressing down a little bit. I stuck it back here and I just kind of worked it. I mean, these things are plastic, so you don't want to be too rough with it. And you just kind of free these little small hinges on the edges and it should scoot right off. Like I said, I didn't crack anything. Now I can pull it straight off. But those are what I'm talking about right here. Let me see if I can show you. See those 2 little notches in there? Those are the notches you're trying to get past. Those 2 little notches inside of there, that light is killing me. You got one on each side, right there and right there. And once they get past the lip of this piece right here, then you can free it and get it off. It has to get past that lip, so that's what you're working for to get that. Like I said, I squeezed a little bit. I was working it back and forth. I could get one free. I couldn't get the other one, so I just stuck my screwdriver on the back side real lightly, you know, started working it and just got it right off. Okay, so now I got my, you know, my front bolt off, my rear bolt off. Then I got the 5 at the top, and the plenum moves freely right now, pretty freely. But I still got to get this. This is probably a map sensor right here, mass airflow sensor. I got to get this disconnected, and it's got one of those little alligator clips once again. So I'll pop this off, get the alligator clip off, get that out the way. And then start working on scooting this thing back a little bit. But so far, this has been the easiest part of all of it. It looks like a nightmare. Trust me, the plenum is probably the easiest thing you're gonna do. All right, once again, alligator clip, like sitting right on your charge pipe. The plastic piece came off. I can just snap it back in later. But getting your sensor off, this gray piece is actually gonna be pushed in. It'll be pushed in. Get your screwdriver, put it in between there, pull it back, press it, scoots right out. I mean, that's probably the easiest piece you're gonna do right there. Like I said, it sits in there, screwdriver, just barely move it. These things are plastic, so you don't gotta move them too hard. Barely scoot that back. When you scoot it back, press it, pull it straight out. That's free now. So now I wanna see if I can start working. You know, I'm gonna get this off up here. Here's your mass airflow sensor up here. I don't know what that is then, but I know what a mass airflow sensor look like because I do it on my Cadillac all the time. So you barely work this piece back right here. Like I said, you don't have to do it. So that should be free. Yep, so that's free now. I mean, these pieces are very, very like easy to move. So, can't get my finger back there. But once you get them to scoot back, that's when you can, let me make sure that thing's like, okay, there we go. Dang it, come on, thing. Once you get to scoot back, then you can move that piece. That'll come off, good to go. So what you do is, like I said, with this piece here, this is the piece you got to separate. So once you separate those right there, man, I hate this thing when it does that. Let me do like this. There we go. So once it separates right here, when this piece separates, you can now squeeze it down. And that thing should get it to flip up past this little notch right there. That's the notch that's holding it in place. If you're pushing down, and like you see how that's going up and down like that? So if you're pushing down and it doesn't feel like it wants to move, get a screwdriver, a real thin screwdriver, put it up under the bottom, and just kind of work it like this, and it'll just pop straight off like that. You don't have to work it too hard. Like I said, this is all plastic. You can get that piece off with I use this really thin screwdriver right here. You just barely put it up in there. I mean, you don't have to push up or anything like that. Just slide it in there and it'll help it get over that hump right there. Almost forgot. Before you pull it off, you have to disconnect that sensor right there. That's right at the base of your low throttle body right there. So straight down in there, there's a sensor right there. This is the whole, mass airflow sensor assembly, all of this stuff here. And so that kind of controls and gauges what's coming through. So you got to get that sensor off, and then it should free up. Not 100% sure, but it should. And I'm going to get all these pieces and stuff like this out of the way. So when I'm working it off, I don't have to worry about anything holding it on there. And this whole thing just might come off the car. I don't know. Okay, so as I was freeing that up to get that piece off, there's a piece coming off of your expansion tank. This little hose right here, it's just sitting inside of a groove. It's like a wire. Just pop that out and you should be good to go. Just pop that. It sits right in a little sleeve right there. Just pop that out that sleeve. It should free up the bottom of this plenum. Oh, let's see if I can get this thing off. I don't know. Yeah, well, it's still being held on down here by the charge pipe right here. So we got to do something to get that piece off. I haven't taken one off before. I think it just slides off, but I'll find out in a second, huh? Another almost forgot. Remember that hose that I was going to take off a long time ago? Already got the clip off right here. That has to come off because it's attached to the bottom of this plenum, because that's part of the intercooler system right there. So you've got to take that off. Like I said, it sits right at the base of it. Dang it, I hate these damn flashlights. Yeah, but it sits at the base of it right there. I already got the clip off. It was right above the upper radiator hose. It sits right there. So once you pull it off, you should be able to free up the plenum from that area. But I still got the charge pipe already. Okay, I'm done with trying to fight it at this point right here because I don't know what's holding it on together. But I know there's 3 T27s right here. So I'm going to go for the 3 T27s holding it on and just take it off that way. I have no idea what's holding it on there. It must be something, I don't know, like a clamp or something on the inside. Who knows? But 3 T27s, Torx 27s, these little bits right here, should take that off. And voila, the plenum is off. And voila, the plenum is off. Now, because you took the pipe off, the intake off from here, you don't have to disconnect this, so you can reconnect that if you want to. And you don't have to disconnect this one over here, which was this sitting way over here. So we'll end up getting all this stuff. I'll just put this on for now, because like I said, so I don't have to worry about putting it back on later. But yeah, you don't have to put these, take these two off. If we're going to do it that way, I'll just leave this one hanging just in case. Yeah, but you don't have to take these two sensors off since we're not taking this whole pipe off. We're leaving it on here. But yep, so that's everything right there. And here we go right there. That's the big piece we're looking for right here. That's the piece we're looking for. And like I said, we got bolts across the top and we got 3 across the bottom, but this is what you want. Now I got straight direct access to it. I can clean it up. I don't know what I got down in here. You probably want to put some, get some rags, stick some rags down in here real quick. Man, my valves look hideous. I got some paper down in there. Let me get that paper out of there. Yeah, it looks hideous down in there. Yeesh. I might have to clean these valves before I put this back together. That is disgusting. They're like black. Yeesh. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can show you those valves now. I kind of clean something out. I mean, if you can see them, those valves are disgusting. That's what they look like down there. Yeah, that. I mean, I've never seen valves look that bad. And I only use premium. That's all I use is premium. So how does it look like that? I do not know. And that's all of them are like that. Look at that. All of them are like that. Jeez, man. What the hell? What kind of gas they giving us, man? That's like garbage gas. I mean, that shit's like caked up on there. So I'm gonna have to clean those out before I put this back together. I'm glad I did this. I'm about to clean all these valves out. I'm gonna find some way to do it. I'm gonna go talk to a shop because I don't want to spray nothing down there if it's gonna damage my engine. But I definitely want to clean those valves off before I put this back together. I might have to get some long cotton swabs or some shit. I don't know. That's hideous. And since it's gonna take a couple of days for me to get my parts in, make sure you stuff some clean rags in there. Those are clean shop towels. Put clean shop towels just so nothing falls in there. You don't want like a washer or something you don't see fall in there, dirt, dust, whatever. I gotta clean it out anyways, but you don't want nothing to make a mistake and fall in there and then end up getting trapped between a valve and the lip of his head, and all of a sudden, you know, you got no compression in the cylinder because something fell down in there and it got caught up in there. So I'm gonna start working on getting this piece out here. Like I said, there's 3 on the top, I think 2 on the bottom. There's another one of those alligator clips right here. So I gotta get that alligator clip off to free up all those wires right there. Once I get those off, man, this thing is a mess. It is hideous. You know, unclip this top hose right there, get that hose out the way, and start working on, you know, seeing which part number this is and everything so I can order the exact one. I'm not doing this twice. I'm so thinking about getting me another oil filter housing. So I'm like, man, since I'm already in here, I don't know, I might do it. We'll see. And before I get the bolts that are sitting there, those are 8mm. You're using 8mm to get this off. So don't forget to disconnect the actual wiring to it also. Your wiring is right here. You got like a wiring harness right up under the bottom. You can pop that off, get that out the way. And don't forget you got this top hose here you'll be disconnecting. And I think that's it. So you got the bolts, the wiring harness, and then this hose. And you should be good to go. Wait, there's another one back here, I think. Yep, you got another wiring harness right here. So you got 2 wiring harnesses, look like. Let me get this. Yeah, it looks like you got 2 wiring harnesses. And they got those little press pieces in where you're gonna have to get your flathead screwdriver into the top, kind of pop the little white piece up, and then you can do the push, pull out. So that's all you got in here so far. Don't look too bad, don't look too bad. Hopefully when I pull it apart, I can show you what I'm talking about, but it's gonna be hard to do it with this holding this in my hand. Okay, and now that I'm this far into the job, there's your alternator right there. If you didn't disconnect your battery, that's still a live wire. That wire is still live. So I just covered it up with some electrical tape, and I'm gonna put a towel across it just because I don't want to accidentally drop a wrench or drop something and hit that wire and while it be touching part of the car. So I got it covered with electrical tape, and then I'm gonna cover with that to keep 100% sure I don't make a mistake and drag a part across, because I didn't disconnect my battery. And now that I'm down this far, now you have the potential to touch that live wire with something. You know, I tell people, if you want to disconnect your battery, knock yourself out, you got to reset stuff. I'll cover everything I can with electrical tape, and I'll put towels across it. I've been doing it for years. Protect yourself. You need insulation between anything that's still got power to it and anything that could be a possible ground. You need insulation between it. That's usually what I do. Cover everything up. Now with the Jeep, I'll disconnect the battery because it's so easy. But with this, I don't want to mess with all that electrical stuff in there. So I forget that. When I changed the battery in this, that was one thing. But this is how I do it now. You know, I just put that in there. Now I can start working over here, and I don't want to make a mistake and touch that, so I got it all covered up. Okay, now I'm working on getting the thermostat off. So these are extensions I used. I used a real thin one, and this is about 8 and probably like about a quarter, about 8 1/4. Now the 8 1/4 one, if you're looking directly at, let's go over here real quick. So if you're looking directly at the engine underneath, now I'm underneath right now. Hold on for a second, let me get some light on here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So there's your thermostat housing right there. So now, this extension here, this long extension with the 8mm on the end of it, it'll go for your first bolt. It's right on the back side of this piece here. So you go straight back and you'll hit it right there. It's right there. You lock into it, left it off. Now, the same exact extension, you're gonna come all the way around to this side, and you're gonna go in between like this little, there's a metal bar right here, and there's like a hose, or the a metal bar and the, not a hose, but dang it, hold on, let me get this out of here. A metal bar and the housing, the oil cooler housing. So what you do is you go in between there, and all the way to the back on the far right, you go straight back. I mean, you just go straight in, it'll lock on. is so, the way that they got it set up is pretty crazy. So as soon as you go, you put that extension, you go through there, you lock it in, you'll lock on there, left that one off. Pretty good. You turn it to the left, it'll come off. Now the center one, dead center right here at the bottom, you're gonna need that extension that I just showed you, plus you're gonna need this swivel right here. You're gonna need this little swivel with the 8-inch connected, because you have to come in and it's gonna kind of go sideways a little bit. This will actually get on there. The middle one is probably the longest one to take off, because the disc extension is going to keep wanting to fall off all the time. But just keep it on there, lock it, and just keep working on it. Work, it's going to fall off. Get it back on there. Work, it's going to slip off. Put it back on there. Work. I'm doing the 3 bottoms one first. I'll do the 2 top ones last, because these are the easy ones. But like I said, this one far to the left, straight back, super easy. Over here, all the way down to the right, all straight back. That one's semi-easy. And like I said, you don't have to see them. You'll lock on. You do not have to see them. It will lock on when you put it back there, and you'll be like, I guess that's it. It's like a straight shot back. There's nowhere else for the socket to go, so you're going to lock on it. The center one, you're going to work on that one a little bit. Like I said, that'll be the long one. I'm about to do my 2 tops right now, and then this thing should be ready to come out. But you still got to take the hose apart right here. I got to get that hose apart. Well, too much light. All right, I got to get that hose apart, and the one at the top over here, the big hose that wraps around the top. But I'll show you those when I'm taking those off. Okay, now this top hose right here was on there. So I got this clamp. All you got to do is just lift this clamp up. It'll stay in place. Just lift it up a little bit. It'll stay locked in. And I got my little pry bar right here. I got this little pry bar. And I kind of, well, let me show you what the whole thing looks like. So just my little pry bar. It's probably about, 18 inches. And I positioned it in between, because it was right about like this. So I positioned it in between here and here, and I just kind of like worked it a little bit, and I was tugging, and it just popped right off real easy. You can even use a screwdriver if you want to, something just to get it to like work in between there, just to kind of work it off, because it's going to be sitting on here pretty tight. So you just work that thing off and it'll be all right. Now I got to get the bottom hose is sitting down here. I can get that one off, and wait a minute. Yeah, I think I can get the bottom hose off, because it's sitting down there pretty good. Don't forget, you got to get this adapter off right here too. It's got like the little clip on the side, so you've got to get your flathead screwdriver and kind of work that clip up a little bit, like so. Wait a minute. It's a clip right here, so you got to get that clip up a little bit. There we go. So now that clip's up, I can push this piece down, and it should pop right off. So there you go, right there. So, and the clip I'm talking about is that little clip right there. You got to get this little silver clip off, the little white looking clip. You got to get that to separate. Once it separates, you can press it and pop that thing back. So that should be good to go. So now I think everything's probably ready to be pulled out. And once you loosen these bolts up, when you loosen these bolts up here, they stay in the housing. They do not come out of the housing, so don't try to pull them out of the housing. You're going to reuse them, but they got to be forced out of the housing. Because what you're going to do is, once you put the housing back in, these bolts sit in there, so you don't have to line them up and everything. They won't fall out. These are like stationary bolts that sit in there the whole time. So once you loosen them up real good, they'll just wiggle around in the hole right there. Do not pull them out completely. You cannot pull them out completely. Let me see what else. I think that's about it. It's going to be a mess. I got my stuff up under the bottom, under here. As you can see, I'm making a good mess up under there. It's everywhere, but I'm doing the best I can do, like I said. Yeah, and like I said, this is kind of positioned in the hole, so you got to wiggle it out some, because it's sealed in there pretty good. So as you can see, I'm shaking it back and forth. Okay, once I get it, I got to do it with 2 hands. I'm sitting there recording, but what you got to do, because it's sitting, there's the back of this water pump housing, the thermostat housing, it's in a hole, and there's a big O-ring in there that's holding it in place. So you've got to get this thing, like it's stuck in there, so you got to kind of wiggle it out, pop it out. Then that second hose down here, that bottom hose, will still be connected. You have to disconnect that once you start wiggling that thing out, and the whole thermostat housing should come straight out. Oh, and while you're doing it, don't forget there's a little piece sitting right behind the alternator. You got to get that adapter out right there, because the line will be in the way. This is the line right here. It'll be in the way, restricting you from getting this thermostat out. So make sure you take that out right there. I got the one that was in the thermostat marked with a blue wire because they look just alike. So that one's marked with some blue tape, and that one will go right into the thermostat right there. But the other one that I just pulled out, that one, where is it? That one looks exactly like it. So it has no tape on it. That kind of helps keep me in line with what it is. And this thing, I'm pulling it up. I popped it out forward towards me like this, but I'm swinging the butt around this way because I got that hose still connected on that side. So I popped it out. I'm swinging the butt towards the front of the engine, and I'm kind of tilting it up in the air just so I can kind of get back there to get that second hose off back there. All right, there we go. So everything's out. That's my other O-ring sitting back there. I got to take that O-ring off. That's the secondary hose right there. It's kind of hanging right there. I hate when there's too much light, but that's the secondary hose right there hanging. Let me see if I can use the light from this camera. There we go. All right, so there's the secondary hose right here that's up under. So you pop that little clip up, pop that piece out, you're good to go. It was attached to this hose back, the housing back there. That was the clip right there. Let me get this O-ring off right here. Dang it. Yeah, because that's the other O-ring just sitting right there. I'm gonna have to get that off. Come on, there we go. There we go, let's pull it down. Okay, that thing was cooked on there pretty good. So I'm gonna wipe all this out, wash it all out and everything. See if I can get this to look a little bit better, but that's it. I might pull off the oil cooler housing and order another one of these while I got it all apart, so I don't have to do it later. Because like I said, I got 102,000 miles on this car. It's a 2019. I drive the hell out of it. So I might take this oil housing off, order another one, order another thermostat. That way all this over here is already done. It's new. Okay, so that's basically how you get it out. How you put it back in, just reverse it, that's it. So if you marked everything, you got everything under control, you know exactly what you're doing, just reverse everything I just told you, or just play the video backwards and just remember what you did, you could put it back in. I'm not gonna put it back in because I got mine on order right now, so by the time mine gets back in, this video will already be dropped. But I should do a video on how to install, but at least this one is for how to take it out. So once you got it out, you good. I'll do another video, maybe. I'll think about it. But what you're about to watch now is just some bonus footage of just me tinkering around after I already removed it, and I just want to see what exactly was going on and why this thing was leaking. And this is what I mean by the bolts, they won't come out. So they're locked in here like this, but you can go through the other side and pop these out. I'm gonna leave these in here until my new part comes in because it might already have some in there, but if not, at least I got the bolts here. They're locked in with this. Here's this big old trash piece. Like I said, I wasn't getting any heat coming through it. And I can see where the leak was coming from. It's right up in front of here, right here. That's where the whole leak was coming from. And I know that because I put that gold stuff in there to see if I could stop leak. But that was my indicator at where the leak was actually coming from. So it was leaking from the very front. And that's why I was dripping all up under my oil pan and everything. That's where it was coming from. That front unit right here. This is what was leaking right there. I might take it apart just to take a look and see, because you can actually replace the fronts. You can replace this piece here, and you can replace that piece there. Those are two pieces that can be pulled off and replaced. I might pull it off just to take a look at it, but I can clearly see all that gold stuff is all down in there. And that's where it was coming from. It was leaking out of here, leaking on top of my oil cooler. Everything else looks good, but you know, I put that leak stuff, that stop leak stuff in there, because I'm like, I'm gonna see some gold flakes like shining somewhere when I take this thing apart. And that's where it is. I just put it in the other day. There was some of this bar stop leak stuff right here. Pull up for a second. This right there. So I put some of that in just to see what would happen. And it didn't fix it, which was okay, because I was like, that's fine, I could take it apart, but I wanted to see where the leak was coming from. And I can look down inside of that housing down there. I can see it all down in there. Look at all those gold flakes down in there. So that's where it all, because I came home one day, it was just like big puddle in the driveway. So I put that gold stuff in there and said, I'm going to see where this gold stuff is going to shine, because I can shine my light and I can hit it and it'll reflect. And that stuff, like I said, a lot of times you only put it into your system when you know you're finna flush it all back out. I just wanted to see where the leak was coming from. Yep, that's where it was all coming from. That's the leak definitely happened right inside of here. Because like I said, that's where most of it is. And I think it started coming out of the impeller right here. Because that impeller, I don't know, it don't look right. Something just looks kind of off a little bit about it. But this is where it was all gummed up right here. So I definitely know that it was something with this piece. This piece probably locked up and just stopped working, and it had nothing else to do. It just kind of like, because I mean, I was getting no heat in the car, so it wasn't transferring to my heater core hoses. I think these are my heater core hoses here. It was barely seeping through. Like, it'll be hot a little bit, but not a whole lot. And all of a sudden, it would just go cool. If I ran the heat for too long, it would just start turning cold again. So I know it was barely getting like fluid through there. But this is definitely all that stop leak. This is where it was coming through right here. Okay, I had to take it apart. Definitely it's stuck in the closed position, because I can see there's a hole at the bottom right here where fluid can pass through, but on each side there's not. So what happens is this right here turns, and when it turns, it opens and allows fluid to flow from here through the heater core. But right now it's stuck in this position right here. It's not going anywhere. So that prevents fluid. That's why I was barely getting warm for a little bit. There was nothing coming through my heater hoses except like it was just trickling through every once in a while. It was still going through the engine block, keeping the car cool, so the car was fine. Like I said, it never ran hot. It always ran nice. Just heat wasn't coming through because this piece was stuck. And it was all coming through the, like through the front area right here. It was just, this thing was locked up. It wouldn't open, it wouldn't close. So the fluid had nowhere else to go. So that's where it started coming from. The only place it could go. And I'm like, man, I mean, heat would last like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And all of a sudden the car would just be blowing out cold again. So I knew it was something to do with this assembly right here. And glad I pulled it apart just to make sure, because yep, it's definitely locked. Okay, upon further inspection, I'm looking at this piece here. It's got a huge indention in it right there. So I think that's probably where that piece right there either sits or it got stuck. One of the two. Either it's supposed to sit there or it got stuck there. I'm not 100% sure. But it looks the same shape as that right there. So they got the same shapes. So I'm thinking maybe this thing, got hot or somehow overslipped and sat in that groove right there. Or maybe that's the groove where it's supposed to sit. But it doesn't make sense, because if this is supposed to move, like I said, this right here can turn, because I got my pliers a second ago. Let me show you. This can turn right here. Let me show you something. I love taking shit apart. This is a huge tangent, but so this turns right here. So I can turn like this. So if you can see, and what it is those holes on there either opens and it flows through these here, or it shuts it and it just flows back through the engine again. So either it goes that way or it goes this way. It'll lock in there, and now it's like allowing it to go through the heater hose, Then when you turn the heat off or whatever, it shuts it like this. And now it's aiming straight up and down, so it just circulates through the engine again. But somehow, so if that's supposed to move back and forth, let's say that piece is supposed to move back and forth right there, then my theory is it got stuck on that right there. And it sat there and it wouldn't open and close anymore. So this piece kind of burned itself out because it's trying to turn, probably just shorted itself out. And that's why it started leaking like crazy all through here. It had nowhere else to go. So once it locked up, all the pressure said, well, where are you going to go? It just created a big leak. And that's where it started coming out of.